So the chapter 2, the food, drugs, cosmetics, and devices. So the Article 20 or the Declaration of Policy, it is stated here that the state shall ensure safe and good quality of food products, drugs, cosmetics, and devices, and regulate their production, sale, distribution, and advertisement to protect the health of the consumer. Article 21 or the implementing agency. In the implementation of the foregoing policy, the state through the Department of Health in accordance with the provisions of this act. So one of the implementing agency is the Department of Health that establish standards and quality measures for food, drugs, devices, and cosmetics. They also adopt measures to ensure pure and safe supply of foods and cosmetics, and safe and good quality of drugs and devices in the country. They adopt measures to ensure the rational use of drugs and devices such as the banning and or recalling and withdrawing from the market drugs and devices which are unregistered, unsafe, and doubtful therapeutic value. The adoption of an official drug formulary and the use of generic names in the labeling of drugs. In this article, also strengthening the Bureau of Food and Drugs. Article 22, the rules and regulations on definitions and standards. Whenever in the judgment of the department such action will promote honesty and fair dealing in the interest of consumers, it shall promulgate rules and regulations fixing and establishing a reasonable definition and standard of identity, a reasonable standard of quality, and reasonable standard of fill of containers for food, drugs, cosmetics, or devices. So in these articles, there are rules and regulations that will promote the honesty and fair dealing for the consumers for a reasonable standard of quality of the consumer products. Article 23 or the adulterated food. A food shall be deemed to be adulterated if it contains any poisonous or deleterious substance which may render it injurious to health. But in case the substance is not added substance, such food shall not be considered adulterated under this clause of the quantity of such substance does not ordinarily render it injurious to health. So, um, even na mga dangerous nga substance nga ginaad sa isa ka product, but kung gamay lang quantity ang gigamit, then consider gyapon ni siya nga dili siya adulterated food. Like for example, sa mga processed food, na siya gibutang additives para mag-longer ang iyang life shell, but even though nay substance na gibutang, dangerous substance nga gibutang, but consider gyapon ni siya nga adulterated kay small amount lang man ang gibutang. Article 24, the regulation of unprocessed food. The provincial, municipal, and city governments shall regulate the preparation and sale of meat, fresh fruits, poultry, milk, fish, vegetables, and other foodstuff for public consumption pursuant to the local government code. Article 25, the tolerance for poisonous ingredients in food. Any poisonous or deleterious substance added to any food shall be deemed to be unsafe, except when such substance is required or cannot be avoided in its production or cannot be avoided by good manufacturing practice. Pareha sa akong gi-example ganina sa mga processed food na nga nai-gi-add na mga additives para mag longer ang iyang shelf life. And consider gyapon ni siya because it is required. Article 26, the unsafe food additives exceptions for conformity with regulations. A food additive with respect to any particular use or intended use shall be deemed unsafe unless it is its use or intended use conforms to the terms of an exemption for being solely intended for the investigational use by qualified experts. Article 27, the petition for regulation of food additive. Any person may, with respect to any intended use of a food additive, while with the department, a petition proposing the issuance of a regulation prescribing the conditions under which such additives may be safely used. So the department shall establish a regulation prescribing with respect to one or more proposal uses of the food additives involved. The conditions under which a food additive may be safely used, including but not limited to specifications as to the particular food, classes of food in which such food additive may be used. Article 28, the effectivity of regulations. The regulations promulgated under the preceding articles shall take effect 15 days after its publication in newspaper of general circulation, but the department may stay such effectivity if, after the issuance of such order, a hearing is sought by any person adversely affected by such order. So the effectivity of regulations is 15 days after its publication will the effectivity of the regulation started. So under the drugs and devices is the Article 29, the adulterated drugs and devices. A drug or device shall be deemed to be adulterated if it contains any decomposed substance which may affect its safety, efficacy, or good quality, or it has been manufactured, prepared, or held under unsanitary conditions where it may have been contaminated with dirt or felt, or whereby it may have been rendered injurious to health. Article 30, the exemption in case of drugs and devices. So the department is hereby directed to proclaim the regulations exempting from any labeling or packaging requirement of this act drugs and devices, which are the accordance in the practice of the trade to be processed, labeled, or repacked in substantial quantities at, at in establishments other than those were originally processed or packed, on conditions that such drugs and devices are not adulterated or mislabeled under the provision of this act upon the removal from such processing, labeling, or repacking the establishment. Next is the Article 31, licensing and registration. So no person shall manufacture, sell, offer for sale, import, export, distribute, or transfer any drug or device unless an application filed pursuant to sub-article and hereof is effective with respect to such drug or device. So any person may file with the department through the department an application under oath with respect to any drug or device subject to the provision of this sub-article. So wala joy person nga maka-manufacture or makabaligya og any products without licensing or without registration of his product. Article 32, or the dangerous drugs. The importation, distribution, manufacture, production, compounding, prescription, dispensing, and sale of, and other lawful acts in connection with dangerous drugs of such kind and quantity as may be deemed necessary according to the medical and research needs of the country, and the determination of the quantity or quantities to be imported, manufactured, and held in the stock at any given time by an authorized importer. So the manufacturer or the distributor of dangerous drugs shall be under the jurisdiction and the authority of the Dangerous Drugs Board as provided by the existing laws and regulations. Next is the Article 33, the banned or restricted drugs. Banned or severely restricted drugs for health and safety reasons in their country or region shall be banned and confiscated, or uses severely restricted, whichever is appropriate by the department. So the department shall monitor and the presence in the market of such drugs and the cost, the maintenance, and regular publications of an updated, consolidated list. Article 34, the certification of certain drugs. So the department shall proclaim regulations exempting from any requirement of this article and of Article 89, which will be discussed later. So the drugs which are to be stored, processed, labeled, or repacked at establishments other than those were manufactured, or condition that such drugs comply with all such requirements upon removal from establishments. So the drugs which conform to applicable standards of identity, strength, quality, and purity prescribed by these regulations are intended for use in manufacturing other than drugs. And drugs which are intended for investigational use by experts qualified by scientific training and experience to be investigate the safety and efficacy of drugs. So before ma-certify is mag-undergo jud of different kinds of activities like daghan pa nga test ang mahitabo before jud ma-certified og mahatagan og certification. So under the cosmetics is the Article 35, the adulterated cosmetics. So a cosmetic shall be deemed to be adulterated if it is contains any poisonous or deleterious substance which may render it injurious to users under the condition of use prescribed in the labeling. So dapat naka-label ni siya sa ilang product. Caution. This product contains ingredients which may cause irritation or say certain individuals, and a preliminary test according to the accompanying directions should first be made. This is to inform the consumer, especially for those na mga skin allergy or for example kanang irritation. So they need jud magbutang og babala. Article 36, the factory inspection. For purposes of enforcement of this article, officers or employees, the duly designated by the department, upon presenting appropriate credentials to the owner, operator, or the agent in charge, are authorized. So the factory inspection are the one who authorized to enter at reasonable hours for any factory, warehouse, or establishment in which food, drugs, devices, or cosmetics are manufactured, processed, packed, or held. Next is the Article 37, the provisional permits. Whenever the department finds, after the investigation, that the sale or distribution in commerce of any class of food, cosmetics, drugs, or devices may be injurious to health, and that such injurious nature cannot be adequately determined after such articles have entered into domestic commerce, it shall proclaim the regulation providing for the issuance, the suspension, and the revocation of provisional permits offer for sale or transfer of such classes of food, cosmetics, drugs, or devices to be manufacturer to the manufacturers or the processors and even the packers of the same in such locality to which shall be attached such conditions. So this is to protect the public health, and after the effective date of such regulations and during such temporary period, no person shall offer or sell or transfer any such food, cosmetics, drugs, or devices unless such manufacturer, processor, or packer holds the permit. So this is the prohibited acts and the penalties. Article 40, prohibited acts. So the following acts and the causing thereof are hereby prohibited. So A, the manufacture, importation, exportation, the sale, offering for sale, distribution, or transfer of any food, drug, device, or cosmetic that is adulterated or mislabeled. B, the adulteration of misbranding of any food, drug, device, or cosmetics. C, the refusal to permit entry or inspection as authorized by Article 36 to allow samples to be collected. D. The giving of a guarantee or undertaking referred to in Article 41, hereof which guarantee or undertaking is false, except by a person who relied upon a guarantee or undertaking to the same effect signed by and containing the name and address of the person residing in the Philippines from whom he received in good faith the food, drug, device, or cosmetics, or the giving of guarantee or undertaking referred to in the Article 41, which guarantee or undertaking is false. E. Forging, counterfeiting, simulating, or falsely representing or without proper authority using any mark, stamp, tag, label, or other identification device authorized or required by regulations is proclaiming under the provision of this act. So the using by any person to his own advantage or revealing other than to the department or to the courts when relevant in any judicial proceeding under this act, any information concerning any method or process which as trade secret entitled to protection. The alteration, mutilation, destruction, obliteration, or removal of the whole or any part of the labeling of, or the doing of any other act with respect to a food, drug, device, or cosmetic, if such act is done while such product is held for sale, whether or not it is the first sale, and the result is such product being adulterated or mislabeled. The use on the labeling of any drug or any advertising relating to such drug, of any representation or suggestion that an application with respect to such drug is effective under Article 31 hereof, or that such drug complies with the provision of such articles. So the use in labeling, advertising, or other sales promotion of any reference to any report or analysis furnished in compliance with Section 19 or the Executive Order 175 Series of 1987. The manufacture, importation, exportation, sale, offering for sale, distribution, or transfer of any drug or device which is not registered with the department pursuant to this act. So including here the sale or offering for sale of any drug or device beyond its expiration or expiry date. The release for sale or distribution of a batch of drugs without batch certification required under Article 34. Article 41, the penalties. So any person who violates any of the provisions of Article 40, which I've mentioned a while ago, those prohibited acts, upon conviction, be subject to imprisonment of not less than 1 year, but not more than 5 years, or a fine of not less than 5,000, but not more than 10,000 pesos, or both such imprisonment and fine in the discretion of the court.